The blight of apartheid left behind a landscape marked by division, distance, exclusion, inequity, and separation. Purposeful distortion of urban spaces split society, separating rich from poor and creating racial enclaves that endure to this day. White residential areas still have low population densities, while black townships have morphed into islands of high population density. The net consequence is that poor people are locked out of economic opportunity, defeating most of the natural advantages offered by cities, such as employment, enterprise, trade, and social services. Undoing apartheid's legacy remains a national priority, yet post-apartheid South Africa's urban geography continues to be characterized by the exclusion of poor people from economic opportunity. Extreme contrasts in services exist, with inefficient spatial development and rising inequity. Preparing for the future requires an understanding of the ways in which public policies of the democratic era have unwittingly perpetuated apartheid's legacy. Today, South Africa's urban landscape is as varied as it is unique. For policy making and planning, each type of habitation offers its own unique subset of challenges and opportunities. In the inner cities, regeneration is happening. Some buildings are being reclaimed and revitalized, though much of this vitality is not legally sanctioned. In affluent suburbs, some densification is happening, but many are excluded by boomed areas and NIMBYism. In working-class suburbs, the lowest-class housing opportunities in formerly white areas are accessible to upwardly mobile black citizens. Townships house much of the potentially productive urban population, but many are condemned to unemployment and poverty. Townhouse developments at the urban fringe have reasonably high densities but are expensive for municipalities to serve and impose high transportation costs on residents. Informal settlements are often well located and have the potential for upgrading, but this requires an acceptance of their value. The palette of policy options must be guided by a sharpened understanding of results from various approaches to subsidized housing, regulating development, financing infrastructure, and measuring outcomes. All of these approaches create incentives that either support or frustrate efforts to create efficient cities. Jabu, who is homeless yet full of enterprise, exemplifies the trials and tribulations imposed by South Africa's post-apartheid geography. He lives under a bridge in the inner city and is a paper recycler. He makes money from other people's waste and helps conserve the environment. Jabu's meager earnings of 10 to 20 rand a day keep him fed, but he forgoes a roof over his head and protection from the elements. Jabu's livelihood depends on proximity to the city. Urban footprints stay for generations. Even though buildings may be used and reused, patterns of settlement change slowly. Good urban form makes cities more accessible, efficient, productive, and sustainable, thereby increasing the city's potential to provide services and economic opportunity. The variety of settlement types and the challenges of South Africa's spatial legacy require a portfolio of coordinated, multi-sector policy responses. Our urban future depends on formulating sound policies for housing and infrastructure that take into account the impact of spatial development on cities. Spatial form and economic growth are fundamentally linked. Efficiently organized and inclusive cities benefit all South Africans.